Hey everyone, welcome to the Jack and Joe show. We're not going to be talking much about Preston today because who wants to hear it? But I'm here with Jack Kelly and we're going to be previewing all things Bournemouth. Jack, how are you doing?
No, looking forward to it. The game is on the horizon, and there's been a lot of chatter on Twitter about certain people's behaviour in the stands, and I'm very much looking forward to getting into that sort of chat with you, Joe.
I feel like maybe I said this before QPR, but I feel like this is a different kettle of fish. The most anticipated game for such a long time. I would say potentially, dare I say, since the playoff final, other than maybe the first Premier League game when we got up. But even
Yeah,
I don't think I was as up for it as I am for this one. I just feel like, even aside from the league standings, there are so many mini storylines, all sort of revolving around Scott Parker and certain coaches. Um, and what do you think? I mean, I guess we should touch on Preston briefly. You had a horrible day
oh,
trying to get up there. You're one of the 800 odd fans that actually managed to make the game.
mm.
A few of them missed the goal. I know Dan Cook missed the goal. Heart goes out to him. In what was probably one of the only good moments of the match from a Fulham perspective. I don't really want to talk about the controversy in terms of the
No.
goal. I think we all know the goal shouldn't have stood.
Mm.
But what did he make of the performance?
Lethargic. I thought very lethargic, but if you look at those performances in isolation and the context around what's going on at the club at the moment, re the illness that's going on, I will forgive those two performances for one, the fact that everyone basically had the lurgy, and two, we've got a massive game to recover for Friday. And if everyone's recovered and up for it, we're in for a great Friday night of entertainment and Championship football. Um, I think this is one of the most worst games I've ever seen live ever. It was so boring, and I don't remember. Everyone was like, "Oh yeah, Preston deserved the point." I don't remember them being anything special really. Maybe I just had one too many in the concourse beforehand. But it was really dreadful. The fact that we had to get up at God knows how early. The train up was fine despite being delayed. We got the last train before like all the big delays happened. Pub beforehand was good. It wasn't anything special. It was a 12:30 up in the north, and it was very very cold. It was very hard to actually motivate yourself to go really. But um, I just thought the game was a bit of a non-event. In fact, my highlight of the day was the kip I had back on the train on the way back. I literally slept for the whole train journey home, and I woke
Oh
up and we were
wow!
almost at Euston. And I thought, well, this is great because I've just killed 3 hours. And then I woke up to someone shouting that Bournemouth have just bottled a 2-goal lead,
Oh, that's
and
good.
that really did perk me up. Um,
Yeah.
Look, it was a frustrating afternoon, but I'm not going to take anything really analyze that performance and be like, oh, this player was rubbish, this player was rubbish, because there was an illness. We can play better. I think we will play better in the coming games, and this game particularly on Friday, Joe.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like these two games, everyone sorts of gets a free pass from most fans because we know what's going on with the illnesses, etc. Even some of the players that are playing are clearly carrying some sort of bug that's shaking them up, like they don't look themselves. And I feel like for the entire match against Derby and maybe for the first half an hour against Preston, we did okay. We played okay, not at our standard, obviously. Final 60 minutes against Preston, I thought I never bought into this that we were being battered by Preston, which some people seem to say, oh, we were nowhere
Yeah,
near the top of our game. We weren't creating anything. We were giving the ball away so much, but I can't think of many clear cut chances they had. I think Rodak made one other save, which was in the first half. It really was a bit of a non event, as you said. And yes, Preston probably did deserve a point. I don't think that was due to their excellence. I thought that was due to the fact that we were pretty just a bit naff, to be honest. Like there wasn't much going for us, but it's out of the way. We had 6 days, have 6 days to
yeah,
sort ourselves out. Oh, well, yeah, 6 days, and hopefully we can because this is such a big game. Psychologically, both us and Bournemouth have had tough weeks. Um, and the Bournemouth one isn't excused by any illnesses or anything like that. They've literally just bottled a lead at Derby and bottled a lead at Millwall and then bottled a lead at home to Coventry. So psychologically, that's huge. They're missing Cahill and Kelly, or at least they were. Lerma's out suspended, a few other knocks to Pearson, Brady, etc. So what are you expecting? I mean, I'm sure that Scott Parker's going to fire them up. I've got no doubt about that. But are you expecting a real even game, a real battle between the teams?
I think what's key in this game is the battle of the midfield. Given
Yeah,
that no Jefferson Lerma, which is huge news, but they do have some very tidy midfielders. I'm not going to lie to you, and I'll say it flat out. Bournemouth, and not on purpose, I just don't pay enough attention to them and what's going on. But I have seen every single game they've played this season on the highlights reel or live if they've been live. And I know they've got the likes of Christie, who's a very good player. Billing has just been a phenomenon this season. I know Lerman's out. And I just wonder who's going to win that midfield battle between the likes of John Mikel Seri, Harrison Reed, and Philip Billing, and whoever basically plays in that midfield. I think Lewis Cook, I don't know if he's in
yeah,
or out or shaking all about. I have no idea what's going on at Cherries, really. And that's all to do with the fact that, like I said, it's almost like watching your ex-girlfriend, like in public. You know what I mean? Like the fact that Scott Parker's there, I kind of just like you see him, but you kind of don't want to really interact or listen to any of his post-match or anything. And that's not because I miss him or anything. It's just because I'm annoyed in the way in which he left the club. I'm annoyed in which the way he treated some of our players. And it annoys me because a year ago, if you'd watched SW6 Essential, we were just raving about him when
yeah.
really, um, what we love at the club is Alexander Mitrovic. And the fact that Mitrovic wasn't really involved last season, we sort of just overlooked it because we had the likes of Ademola Lookman and Anderson and Tosin who were taking all our attention. This game is massive for so many reasons, but it means so much to the fans. And I genuinely feel like this game means it means so much to me and everyone else to get one over him, even though we were singing his praises last season. It's a really bizarre one, Joe. And in terms of how I'd see it going, I genuinely feel it'd be a very, very tight game that could be won on a moment of controversy or quality. And what I will say is the state of that Ched Evans goal, you would like to think, as I touch
Even
wood,
itself up.
it would even itself out, but you just never know because it's a game of such high magnitude.
Yeah, I feel like one advantage that we've got is that you said about it there, so many players that were discarded by Scott Parker
Mm.
now back in the fold for us. Mitrovic, Cabano, Ream, even Hector. Seri is like one of the biggest ones for that. You've got Knockout that's come back in recently. Rodak. I mean, I think the Rodak one was fair, even though it was harsh.
Right,
But
yeah.
all these players have got a point to prove, and this is the person they want to prove it against. And Bournemouth will be just as fired up for this. Scott Parker, he's very good at setting teams up and almost taking any possible excitement out of a football match that you could have. So it wouldn't surprise me if he set up and they kept the ball and they almost tried to see out a draw. I don't see them coming to Fulham and throwing everything at us. I expect them to be very good in attack. I actually quite like and rate some of their players. In particular, Ryan Christie, I think, is a very, very good signing. Dominic Solanke, obviously the best striker the world's ever seen, or whatever he said, even though he's about 25 goals behind Mitrovic. So it's one of those things where I feel like it's very evenly contested. But if we're at the top of our game, and I feel like we should be because of how fired up that'll be, then I think we should come out on top. But I can see it being high scoring, especially recently. Bournemouth's defence has been shaky at best. I think it's 6 goals they've let in the last 3. We've let in 2, which, to be honest, by our standards, is letting quite a few in recently because we just kept about 5 clean sheets in a row or whatever it was, maybe 6. I'm really intrigued. In terms of the team that you play, I think for the sake of this, because we don't know about the illnesses, and the team that played against Preston was almost back to full strength,
It was,
other
yeah.
than Tete being on the bench, probably rested. Doy did very well, by the way, so can't really complain about that. Let's assume that everyone is healthy again.
Yeah.
What team would you play?
I bring Tete back in as a
Yeah.
right back, just because he's going to have to deal with. I was about to say Danjuma, but it's not Danjuma, is it? He's going to have to deal with whoever plays on the left hand side for them. Anthony's on the right, isn't he? And
Oh,
Zamora.
believing, but I think they might be the left-hand side.
Oh, well. Oh,
Yeah.
well. So Tete
Who
comes
cares?
back
Yeah.
in. Tosin comes in. Or I suppose he's already in. So Rodak, Tete, Tosin, Ream, Robinson, Seri, Reed. I'd like to see Kearney in this game,
Okay.
but I think Carvalho just has that bit of zip that you need in the final third, as I've said like every week. So I'd probably play Carvalho. I'd love to see Kearney play though, even if it was a deeper position. But then I don't want to bring out either Reed or Sarah. I think they're integral. And then I'd go Cabano, Wilson, Mitrovic. I mean, it's a no-brainer really. And then you got some good options off the bench. Bobby D called over Reed and Muniz and Kearney and Josh Onamai came on the other day as well. So I'll tell you what, anti-knockout, no thank you. I mean, I've seen 2 appearances from him this season. He generally is just the same player as we saw a couple of years ago, Joe. What about
Yeah.
you as for your starting 11?
Bit boring, but I think I'd go with exactly the same.
Well, it's not boring, is it? Because it's the one that's going to
Well, it's a winning
win.
formula, I guess. But Kearney, I don't think I'd throw him straight back in. I think Carvalho, although he wasn't anywhere near his best at Preston, was very, very good against Derby, and I think that he should keep his place. I also think that his movement between the lines in a tight game is maybe could give us
The
the edge.
difference, yeah.
Whereas Kearney, I feel like he's playing a bit deeper this season. I don't expect him to be as quick between the lines. The bench almost interests me more because the bench looked quite weak last couple of games, in my opinion, and it'll be good to see Reed back. Bobby D called over Reed, that is, he said. Chalabar, hope he's back soon because I didn't think Onama, and I don't want to call anyone out because he might have been struggling with a bug as well, but I don't like that he's our backup centre midfielder at the moment, and it's literally him or no one last couple of games. I thought that he was quite poor when he came on, so I really hope that Chalabar's back because I think that he's got a bit more quality. Hope to see Muniz back on the bench. Was surprised that he didn't get any game time against Preston, to be honest, after his performance against Derby, even though it wasn't spectacular. I thought that he put himself about well, was always on the end of crosses, and at least would have given us another body that was in and around the box. So yeah, I'm intrigued, but I think I'd go with the same 11 because I think it's our strongest team. And I think that we were Odoi swapped with Tete away from it being our strongest team on Saturday, just gone. And it's a battle of the top 2. We've got more of our first team, as it stands, available than they do. We've got to make that count because if Cahill and Kelly are out, that's huge. I mean, that's their first choice centre-back pairing gone. They were so solid with them. Since they've been broken up, they've let in 6 goals. And it just goes to show how important that pairing is and really fancy us to get at them if they don't have them.
Right. I'm going to be very interested to see Scott. In fact, I'm going to pay a lot of attention to Scott Parker's pre-match press conference, just from the quotes, just to see if he's trying to play some sort of mind games where he's saying, "Oh, someone's not available," and they end up being on the team sheet. You can just see it happening, and I think he's aware of the stick he is probably going to get on Friday night, and that's something we now need to talk about. Scott Parker and Matt Wells and all the others, they return to Craven Cottage. And this time last year, if you'd have told me in a year's time, you will be attending a game where Scott Parker is not your manager and he's the opposition manager, and it's, whatever the circumstances are, I'd be very surprised. So let's talk about what sort of reception that you think he's going to get, how your approach is going to be in the stands, and just about what sort of game it represents, really. What the game
I
represents.
think the reception will be slightly mixed, but definitely more negative, to be honest.
Can't wait, honestly.
And I'll be one of those negative people because I don't agree with the way he left. Don't owe him anything. He didn't keep us up. He did a crap job, and he deserves the stick he's going to get for leaving in a bad way. He dragged it on for about a month after it became clear he was leaving, clearly just trying to get a bit more money. And I seeing now what I'm seeing from these players, and seeing some of the players that he cast aside, like Seri, and Mitrovic and Cabano. Just there's so many, and it's just like I can't believe he did this to them. And it's like, we needed goals last season. The goals were there. The goals were there. He didn't use them because he had a very fractured squad, and he left the club in exactly the same place he got it, minus maybe a little more camaraderie in the dressing rooms or whatever he likes to talk about. We're in this exact same position. So I think he'll get a negative reception. And well, I'm not saying it should be like super, super toxic or anything like that, but I don't think we should exactly be singing his chant or clapping him or anything like that. I
None of
think there'll
that.
be quite a lot of boos, and I really, really do hope that he doesn't leave with a smile on his face, because not only for that, but it's huge for our season to make sure we minimum draw this one. I think it is a must win, but I wouldn't be devastated if we drew, purely because it would keep us top. We haven't lost ground. We're still unbeaten. It's against the second best team in the league at this moment in time, but I think it's a must win, and I think that it will help if we create a bit of an atmosphere that makes it clear everyone's feelings.
I think what's apparent is what's going to happen is, let's just say we take the lead, or we're winning the game, or it's petering out, and we look like we're going to win the game. It'll be a lot of Parker, what's the score? Parker, what's the score? A lot of that sort of silliness. But I think there'll be a lot of toxicity towards him. Some people tweeting, "Don't boo him today." I'm thinking, look, I'm not going to be like booing him like proper like what people do, but I'm going to be hurling. Well, I shouldn't probably say it, but I will be probably shouting and screaming at. Well, I should probably grow up a little bit, I suppose. But no, but look, he's going to get a bad reception. And it's funny because we were really looking forward to the fact that Savita was going to come back and we're going to give him an amazing reception just before Christmas. And it's such a shame he got sacked. Not only because we are looking forward to seeing him come back, but because I genuinely thought that he could have turned that Sheffield United situation around. But no, we're not here to talk about Slav. We're here to talk about Scott Parker. It would be ironic, the most ironic thing in the whole world. Could you imagine if Cavaliero's fit, he plays on the bench, he comes on and he scores the winner? That would be so funny. Just out of it, just out. That's funny. It would be like, he doesn't even play up front; he plays on the wing or something, and he just cuts in and bends one top bins. But Mitrovic, I think, will have fire in his belly. Not that he always is on fire, isn't he? So he will have that sort of motivation after what happened last season, and it's points to prove, isn't it, for a lot of those players. And I think Scott Parker's going to come into the game thinking, "Oh, I used to manage here." He's going to be like, "This is my team, Bournemouth. We need to win in a game of football," basically. Yeah. But I think he'll probably smirk at a lot of the things that are being said, probably on the TV cameras. I can just imagine him just sort of, taking it on the chin. And I think it's going to be a very interesting atmosphere. Probably lots of boos, lots of jeers, lots of trying to wind each other up. And the Bournemouth fans, I don't really like. Then probably the most least aggressive fans I've ever basically come across. I don't think there's going to be any argy-bargy between the fans. No. But what more is there to say, really? Duncan, what more is there to say? Yeah, score prediction.
Well, I think that after I've commented on Solanke every week for the last 10 weeks, he's bound to score. So I think we'll win 2-1. I do think Mitrovic will get one, and I'm very excited and intrigued to see what he will do if he does. I will be so sad if he doesn't, regardless of the result, purely because I want to see what would happen. And yeah, I hope Scott Parker's got a nice jumper picked out.
Yeah, the point you made earlier about the biggest game since the playoff final, I genuinely think it is. I mean, we had some big games last season when we had to get 3 points here and there, but in terms of fans back and the I mean, if we win, we go 4 points clear of not only Bournemouth, but then obviously, I mean, we can touch on West Brom and their form at the moment, and then the fact that QPR are now third, who of course I predicted to finish in the playoffs this season. I don't know whether that will come to fruition or not, but and yeah, my score prediction, I'm going to go with Fulham 0, Bournemouth 0, just because.
Wow.
I just don't see any goals. I mean, I do see goals. I just think the way in which,
I know what you mean when it's such big expectations on a game.
It's going to be a bit of a damp squid, and it's going to be very tactical, I think, as well. Yeah. But I'd love to see. I mean, ideal world, Mitrovic 1-0 win, clean sheet, Mitrovic goal, and late on, that would be ideal. I suppose ideal would be like 4 or 5-0, wouldn't it? If we
Oh
just blow
yeah,
them
yeah.
away. But Joe, I mean, what more is there to say now? Because this is it now. We wanted to just give our opinions on what we think is going to be a massive, massive game. And Monday's video or whatever is going to be very, very interesting.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything more to say. It's such a big game. Most of this conversation has just been what our team would be, etc. Because it feels like most of the talking's been done for us. It's first v second, Scott Parker's return, all the players trying to get their revenge from being discarded, and it's just going to be such a good game. Craven Cottage sold out second time this season, I believe, other than the Reading game, which was weirdly sold out. I don't really know why it was. It must have just been giving freebies away or something.
It's kids for £1, I think.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, sold out with about a week to go, which says it all. People are clearly up for this, and I'm really excited for it.
One question I'll ask you, which I asked you last year as well. Monday is the FA Cup third round draw. Who would you like?
Oh my goodness, can't even remember who I said last time. We had a conversation the other day, and for some reason, I was drawn to Sheffield Wednesday away.
Oh yeah, I remember that on the group chat.
Bit weird, yeah. What about you?
But we play. I think it's Sheffield Wednesday away for me would be like, oh, for goodness sake, here we go again. Because we played them quite often. I've been in the stadium
Go on then.
3 or
Lowest
4
ranked
times
team
maybe.
possible at home.
I'm more about the lowest ranked team possible away. Just the most random. So basically, it's either a tick away for non-league or just a new football league tick away, which would be great.
AFC Wimbledon as well, right near us. That'd be
Yeah,
great.
AFC Wimbledon, Sutton United are both in round 2. Maybe a Chelsea away, a Spurs away. You'd like to go to the new stadium. Wouldn't mind like an Ellen Road either. That would be quite fun. But not, and I repeat, not a regular who you would play in that season at home or away. Like imagine just like Birmingham away again or Swansea at home, just boring tables. But yeah, the FA Cup draw, I guess, is on Monday. And hopefully we get a good draw. But it's all about the game on Friday night, Joe. And is there anything more you want to say before we go?
Nothing else. Just hope this video doesn't age badly.
It could. It really could. And that's the thing. If we lose, it will be very frustrating for a number of reasons. One, we've lost top spot. 2, teams on the Saturday could gain ground on us and suddenly the pressure's on. Otherwise, it's no wins in 3. And of course, 3, Scott Parker and Matt Wells getting one over us, which is frustrating because then it will, I don't know, you can understand what the reaction is going to be like, but I'm not expecting a lap of honour from Scott Parker after the game, clapping the fans.
No.
And that's
Me
it.
neither.
I feel like you're quite nervous, Joe. I can sense this nervous energy from you.
I'm really nervous for this game. I'm really nervous. I was nervous for QPR, but nowhere near this much, just because, like you said, it's a season definer in terms of the next few weeks, like the mentality change from players to fans. Like if we got a 4-point gap on Bournemouth, or at the very least a 1-point gap and a still top, that's huge. Whereas to lose to them and in the same time lose top spot after we've had this amazing run of form when everyone's been going, no, they're the best team in the league now. Fulham are clearly better than Bournemouth. That would almost undo it temporarily. And as you say, maybe not West Brom, but there's a few teams that could close the gap on Saturday. I mean, it could be West Brom, but they've been in a very poor run of form. It feels like it's ours to lose, so it'd be very frustrating. I think that's why I am nervous.
This really does separate the men from the boys. This is a huge clash. It'd be quite boring if it ended in a draw because nothing's really changed on the top 2 side of things. And then they could still, QPR win, and suddenly that's like a gap of like 6 points or 7 points. So that will give them some belief. And then we go into a game against Luton, which of course we'll talk about more maybe on Monday, depending on what happens on Friday, because this is a huge game. And that's it for today. Thanks for watching the Jack and Joe Show. We'll be back on Monday, previewing Luton away, the final away before Christmas Day. And of course, the massive, massive game on Friday. We'll be reviewing it. I'd really get in your ears this week. The podcast coming out on Thursday. The podcast that will obviously come out on Monday. This is a huge game for Fulham. Soak it in, drink it in. And hopefully Fulham can come away with 3 points. Joe, thanks so much for being here today.
No worries. Thanks a lot, Jack.
Big game, honestly. So big. Right. We'll see you in the pub Friday evening, nice and early. And come on, Fulham. I didn't get it ready in time, boys. Come on, Fulham.